Alright, back. Keeping phone interruptions today. Alright, so I was on my O-rings. Okay, so originally what I did to fix the problem one thing I did also, I notched the lifter. This is my rear exhaust. My push rods are too long, so you notch it. So you can slide the push rod inside sideways a little bit. That's one of the tricks I had to do before I did different things. Before I made different push rods. So, the lifter goes up so far I was hitting my roller in here. So the push rod cover caused a problem. So what I did was I took a quad seal and I stuck an O-ring on top of the quad seal like that, and that's what I did. And I use that to seal up my push rod cover. So the O-ring goes down first because the radius will go around the lifter here, up inside the lifter a little bit before it contacts. See, you can go in there, see how you gain about 30 thou, you can go under 20 thou. So it allows you to go up without hitting the block. When you run the quad seal, it's square edge it would hit. So you run the O-ring first, then the quad seal, and then I run the push rod. These are the O-ring style push rod covers. And I shorten up the cover too. So that way the lifter would come up inside that lower O-ring and it would work. So later on, I made a spacer in here, and I just run the O-ring right on top of the spacer and eliminated doing the double seal. So that's what's in here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put new O-rings in there just for the hell of it, because I'm working on, again, I don't know how old these O-rings are, so I'm going to just replace them for the hell of it. Some of these things, these O-rings here feel like they're worthless too, but let's see. So these are all honed to be relatively snug in here, but not too snug. They do have clearance. Yeah, these O-rings feel like they're not doing a damn thing. Yeah, probably don't. Some of my oil leaks maybe. So anyway, that's how you do that. So those are all done up on that. So there's always, every piece here I got stuff I've done custom to. This has these stock springs in here. I'm never changing them because there's no reason to. You know, some guys put solid spacers in here and eliminate this crap. I've had zero issues. The lifters don't, the rockers don't move side to side. You can see the mark is not moving this way. It stays put. So having the spring in there just means you don't have to shim them. So there's no reason to do it. Oh, the other thing I do is on the rocker shaft here, inside the box here. So this goes into the box. You got an O-ring seal, and then you got a nut. That's what seals it. So one thing I do, instead of having an O-ring that goes into a square hole, into a square hole here and a square slot groove here, I don't use that. I use the quad seal, which is a square section seal, so it's already square. And I put that on there like that. If I get my damn thumb to work today. So see, it's already square. And then that goes inside the box. And one thing about a square seal, the O-ring, is every corner here has a groove on it. Or a seal surface, not a groove. So it has 4 sealing surfaces on that one O-ring. Versus a regular O-ring, it only hits in 2 places. The radius inside and outside. That's it. So these actually have double the sealing area. So they work better. Now this is the upper push rod cover O-ring for an 79 to 81, right in that area. I ran these, and they went back to O-ring later on, to a round O-ring. So they were used for a couple of years on both Big Twin and Sportster. So it's the upper one. So I don't use them for the upper because they don't fit. They fit in the rocker box here halfway decent, but the hole in here is really loose. The cover floats all over the place and it can leak. So I don't use those. I actually use an Evo seal in there, which is this one. So it's really thick on the OD. It's large on the OD and small on the ID, so it's a real thick cross section. See how thick it is compared to the quad seal that you're supposed to use? So it seals a lot better. These ones are made for Sportster. Sportsters are made out of silicon material, higher temperature. The shovel head one, or not shovel, the shovel, late shovel and Evo stuff, all these O-ring, these black ones. Most of these are not the super high quality Viton material. Some are. Most of them are just the regular, more standardized rubber. So the good stuff will be Viton, but it's rare to see that. You can't go by color because the manufacturer's putting the color they want in the stuff. It makes no difference. So you'll see all kinds of different colors. But these, when you feel them, they're really soft and compressible, and they have a little bit different feel to it than the rubber ones. These are more rigid and They just have a different feel to them. So, how do you explain what silicone feels like? Go feel your girlfriend's tits, I guess. There you go. That's what they feel like. So anyway, those are all more upgrades. So these are all different things I do on the motors to make them run better and hold up. So I think that's about most of the stuff I've done. Like I said, it's a lot of different things. A lot of years of playing around, doing different things. You don't know how to do things. The stock cam bearings hold up pretty good. Never really had a problem with them. Yeah, that stuff seems to hold up good. Cases take a ton of abuse. Abuse the piss out of these cases. They're still holding up. These things, I've been using the same set of cases for 25 years, and same in the head. Cylinders, they get changed out, but same basic parts I started with back in 91, 92, whenever I started running this motor. It's there was a lot of racing up in the early 2000s. I was running it every year, beating the tar out of it. So got a lot of runs on it. So anyway, the bike has seen a lot of changes over the years too. So it's still a stock frame in places. 79 neck in it anyway. It's a baby Sirianni front end on it, 32 mil. 40-degree rake in the frame. It's a stock 79 swing arm on it. Stretch 10 inches. There's a battery in there. Fuel tank there, oil tank there. Fuel pump right there. Ignition block underneath the tail. There's an amplifier box behind that. Got a Willwood brake in the back, works really good. Got an old GMA, who made it? Is that EBC or EG? I think it's an EBC rotor they don't make anymore. They only had it available for about 3 years. Haven't warped that one yet. That one's good. All the other ones I've warped, so that one's holding up. The Willwood brake caliper is they use them for sprint cars, mini mods and stuff like that. It's a big double piston, one on each side. Really good. The brake pads are about, ½ inch thick. I've never worn them. They don't wear. I've been using that same caliper for 20 years. It still looks like new. I know how my brake rotors have been through it. You can see how hot the brake rotor gets. See how it's all blue and black. It's hot. So it gets flooded with oil all the time. I don't care. I don't clean it. Just hold the brakes on longer. Eventually it burns all the oil off and it starts to slow down. Who cares? Got a big nitrous bottle goes up the back end of it underneath the tail. That's that big blue bottle over there on the floor. So when I run nitrous, I run that. When I don't run nitrous, I just leave it out. So Airtech made the tail for me. They make all my body work. So that's a carbon fiber tail. It's been, that's 3rd generation tail. 2nd generation front fender. 1st generation fairing. 2nd generation fairing with a full fairing. I didn't like it. Went back to the 1st generation. That's an old bicycle fairing. Real small, skinny. Carbon fiber, obviously. Doesn't weigh anything. So, anyway. Lots of mods. That's the MSD coil up under there. Retard box, 3-stage retard box for all the nitrous stuff. There's a regulator. Another nitrous solenoid down here. Hidden one. Can't see that when you're on the bike. Used to have 2 coils mounted up under there. Got rid of that. When I went to the car ignition, I put a car coil up on there, and that works. It puts out a spark about 1.5 inches long. It'll put out like 5 of them at once. It's a multi-spark ignition. So, big ass blue lightning bolts. They hurt when they hit you, I'm sure. I've never been hit by them, so probably kill me if I did. A lot of hoses. So, clutch is over here. I made the clutch. It's a 10-plate clutch, 8 is stock. I run 10. Doesn't slip. Stock primary chain from Diamond, works good. Transmission's all racing, cast iron shock trap door. XR 750 countershaft. Modified Harley main shaft. 18 tooth close ratio clutch gear in here for its close ratio tranny. Stock other ratios. All the other custom ratios break, so I don't use them. Of course, the stock ones break too. So, not much of an improvement, was it? So, these all have updated bearings in here. You know, got double bowl. I think there's 2 rows of bearings in here, as I recall. See how thick it is? There's 2 bearings in there. Doubles up, so it's nice and rigid. Makes it hold up better. The shifting's been all modified in here. Real close shifting patterns. So we'll get into that when we do the tranny. So to put 10 plates in here, the trick is you use the big twin clutch plates for an Evo in the mid 80s. They're just like a Sportster plate, but they're thinner. So I stack more in there. You can actually put 7 in there in a regular clutch and kind of jam them in there. And then I remachine everything and I put an 8th plate. I get a 10th plate in there. You get 8, you get 9. You go from 8 to 9, and then you modify stuff, you get 10. So I put 10 in there. Now Barnett makes a Scorpion clutch, which I think is using 10 plates also now. I don't remember if it's 9 or 10, but anyway, I made mine long before they did. So anyway, it works really, really well. It doesn't slip, doesn't drag, doesn't wear out. They're Kevlar plates. Slip the living crap out of them and they don't care. There you go, good stuff. It all works. And then chains, I use multiple different chains. I'm back to a non-O-ring chain, trying to get less drag. But something I do not do is run a smaller chain. I still use a 530 chain. So it's a chain down there on the floor. So a lot of my friends use small chains, real thin ones, look like bicycle chains, 520s. One guy's using a 428 chain, which is a bicycle chain, I think. It's for a moped. I shift too hard, and when you have nitrous system come on, you dump 100 horses of nitrous in your, all of a sudden, on-off switch. It's kind of hard on parts. So it'll snap that chain right off if I did that. I could probably get away with a 520 chain. It probably would work. But nah, I just don't see any reason to do it. If I'm making enough horsepower, I'll get the record anyway. I don't care about 1 or 2 mile an hour here and there. We'll just go for it. And I'd rather make it reliable and bulletproof instead of having to deal with it. Never broken a rear chain yet. Don't see any reason why to start. So, some things I just don't play with. I'm too hard on my bikes. I power shift every gear and I dump the clutch to get this thing moving. I can do 100 mile an hour in second gear easy, and now with the nitro gearing on there, I could probably do 110 or 15 in second gear. And it just, it's hard getting going. You rev it up, dump the clutch, rev it up, dump the clutch, rev it up, dump the clutch, and repeatedly just keep doing that to get the thing moving. Finally you get on the cam and a little gear, you can start going, but you gotta get this big turd running. This thing's heavy. So, you got those big heavy ass flywheels, you can dump the clutch on that if something happens. You know, I mean, dump it. I dump it at 8,000 RPM and dump it. Full dump. No baby in it. So anyway, there you go. Got a few mods what we do. You can see the fuel line coming out. It's a dash 10 hose, 3/4 inch. Goes up to my fuel pump. It's a 250 gallon hour fuel pump. I run at 15 volts, so it's probably 300 gallon per hour. I need a bigger pump, and I can't. Nobody makes one bigger, so I'm stuck with it. So keep going to all these shows on these car pumps, all these modern fuel injected cars. They got these high rod, these 1,000, 1,500 horsepower oil or fuel pumps. And I asked them how much power they got. Oh, they're 200 liters per hour. 200 liter? I'm 250 gallon per hour now. We go 300 gallon per hour. I don't care about 250 or 300 liter per hour. That's nothing. So it's a baby pump, and that's what they use on their big cars. But they're not running fuel. When you run fuel, you need volume. That tank holds just under 2 gallons, and it drains on a one pass. At Bonneville, you'll drain that tank. You'll have almost nothing left when you're done. At El Mirage, you use about half a tank. So, yeah, it drinks fuel. All right, that's it for now.